Alright guys, so tonight I will be discussing Tambourine Origins. I know I haven't done a video in about a week or so. I try to upload every Sunday and Monday night, but trying to balance motherhood, schoolwork, and YouTube is a lot. So I ask that you please be patient with me. If I don't upload on Sunday or Monday, then I'll do it sometime during the week. So please hit that bell to receive notifications when I do upload a new video. Alright, the purpose of this video is to discover the origins of the tambourine and or whether the instrument was used in pre-colonial America, to draw comparisons between its uses in modern so-called Afro/Black American culture and American Indian cultures, all of which are indigenous in one way or another, and to show that indigenous people, whether identified by European colonists or themselves as quote-unquote black or self-identified as indigenous, still maintain elements of their indigenous cultures to this day. And so that's really what I like to focus on my channel, is things pertaining to like cultural restoration, drawing similarities or drawing lines from what was done in the past before colonization to what is done now, and some things that still remain, just to show that no, we haven't completely and totally lost our individual cultures, but as people change, when they go through different things, the culture has changed. Some things for the worse, some things for the better, but my intent is to reel it all in and to so that we could create something new, and so that we can show that we are still here. We have a rich culture, rich heritage, and we should embrace that, and we should cleanse it of the bullshit. So, all right. The tambourine is a small frame drum with one or two skins nailed or glued to a shallow circular or polygonal frame. It is normally played with bare hands and often has jingles, aka zills, attached to it. The word tambourine refers specifically to the European frame drum. However, the term is often extended to include all related frame drums. This here is the gospel musician from Louisiana. Her name is Lady Tambourine. She's known as the lady who makes fire with her hands. She actually said that when she was 5, she saw a fire-like aura around a tambourine. And later on in her life, she realized that she had received that gift from heaven. So she received that gift from the divine. And so she started playing her tambourine with Indians and different bands. And she went on to play with Stevie Wonder, Beyonce, and a bunch of other musicians. So this is a video of her, let's see here, playing at a game. This video actually went viral too. So also, the tambourine is played like the manner that she's playing it in, black churches, especially in the South. I don't know about anywhere else, but in the South, in the Southeast, it is for sure. So just thought I would add that. This is Eve in her video for tambourine. Eve is said to have Afro-American, Egyptian, and Native American ancestry. So, yeah. And then this is a lady named TWEEDY. Her video went viral as well. So she made a guest appearance on The Harry Show a few years ago. So here's a clip of her playing from that. And the way she's dressed and everything, I'm assuming that her video that went viral was a church video. I personally have not seen the video that went viral, but just I could tell by the way she's dressed that she, comes from the church and that culture. And so she plays that in church. I mean, she was playing the hell out of that tambourine, y'all. But okay, so this says drums were forbidden. So drums traditionally were forbidden as both unchristian and potentially dangerous signaling devices. So this prescription, though a dead letter in many localities, was still on the statute books in a provision that dated back to the Slave Act of 1740, promulgated in the aftermath of the Stono insurrection. And that's from the police control of the slave in South Carolina. And in the section of the Georgia Legal Code dealing with privileges and disabilities of slaves, paragraph 45 read, "And as it is absolutely necessary to the safety of this province that all due care be taken to restrain the wandering and meeting of Negroes and other slaves at all times, and more especially on Saturday nights, Sundays, and other holy days, and their using and carrying mischievous and dangerous weapons, or using and keeping drums, horns, or other loud instruments, which may call together or give sign or notice to one another of their wicked designs and intentions. And whatsoever master or owner or overseer shall permit or suffer his or their slave or slaves at any time hereafter to beat drums, blow horns, or other loud instruments, shall forfeit 30 shillings sterling for every such offense." This was from a codification of the statute law of Georgia, including the English statutes of force. Um, so, they were just very paranoid of uh, a rebellion of the people that they enslaved, right? So we know that from history, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you that Negro isn't necessarily, uh, it's like black. It doesn't really say what ethnicity you are, right? It's just a term that they use for brown skinned people. So um, they were afraid of these people that they had wronged and enslaved rising up and rebelling. And so they banned the drums because they know the power of the drums. Um, they know what it does. And it just takes me back to, like, I remember some years back I was in California and I went to a ceremony. It was called my office ceremony. It was like a African centered um, thing that someone invited us to when we were at a city festival in Oakland. And one thing that one of the men who was there said is that, and he lived in San Francisco, the ceremony was in San Francisco, but he said that when they play their drums, that the white people in his neighborhood report them. And he was like, it's cultural war. And he's right. It's them still having that fear of that rebellion, that rising, that of many of which have happened here in history, which they don't teach about, but it's them having that fear of rebellion, of us rebelling against them, and the drums puts that fear into their hearts. If you're not doing that to entertain them, if you're not doing it to, like, from a low vibration, from a lower sense of being, um, if you're not really conscious of what you're doing and what you're using that drum for, they can handle it. But if you are using it to uplift your spirit, if you are using it to heal yourself and your people and things of that nature, they are very threatened by that. And so that still happens to this day. It still happens to this day. And so that just took me back to that. I just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, so it says there were also Negro musicians who played European instruments for colonial balls. Another quote says, unacquainted with the science of music, though gifted with decided natural powers, they play antics with the high heaven of sound, while sawing violins, harsh clarinets, jingling tambourines, crashing triangles. And these are quotes from slave music in the United States before 1860. So basically, the tambourine began to be played along with European instruments, other European instruments, after drums were forbidden. Now, I'm just speaking of what this source is saying because I'm going to show you something different later on in this presentation. That basically that this isn't the first time that these tambourines were played. Now, here, tambourine is used for rebellion in modern times. A lady who worked for the FBI in the past was recently arrested for disorderly or disruptive conduct in a restricted building or ground, among other charges. She was among those who invaded the Capitol. She entered the Capitol Rotunda, raised her hand in the air, and shook the tambourine multiple times, and then left the rotunda. And that's from Law and Crime, and this is the lady with the tambourine in her hands shaking it in the Capitol Rotunda. So basically, so-called black or Negro slaves were forbidden for to use the drum for fear that they may rise up. Yet today we see here, this is a European woman who is using this tambourine for that very reason, to rebel against the government. So it's just interesting about, kind of which things go on and how instruments are really used um, throughout history period and what they're used for. It's just the whole thing is interesting to me. But she was arrested, but it's just she was using it for the same reason that these colonial powers, slave masters in the 1700s, is a source that thought that so-called black or Negro people would use these instruments for. So, and this is a tambourine used for justice in modern times. This is actually a logo from the Tambourine Army, and the Tambourine Army is a radical social justice movement committed to uprooting the scourge of sexual violence and safeguarding the rights of women and girls in Jamaica. And so this was actually on their Facebook page, Tambourine Army Facebook page. And the name of this group, because I found this all in my research, the name of this group actually came from an incident that occurred on January 9th back in 2017 during a protest by survivors of sexual abuse at the Nazareth Moravian Church in Jamaica. So the leader of the We Change movement became angry and hit the leader of the Moravian Church. His name is Dr. Paul Gardner. She hit him on the head with a tambourine, um, because he allegedly sexually abused her partner as a child. Now, this wasn't just allegedly, he actually did it, because both the leader and the vice president of that church ended up resigning, and they were later charged with sexual abuse of minors. So, in this instance, the tambourine is used, for justice, and and war, which I'm going to show you later. But just like the drum, and so you're going to see more proof of what I'm talking about later. But I thought it was just interesting that this is a organization in Jamaica that helps women and girls who have been victims of, or who are victims of sexual abuse. And they stated that it's really rampant in Jamaica, the sexual abuse of women and girls, and it's just something that's hidden. Much like what happens in the so-called black community in America, the sexual abuse and the fact that at least 60% of black women and girls are, um, have been, or will be sexually abused by the age of, I believe it was 18. And that is an actual statistic. You can look it up and fact check me on that. Um, so yeah, like, it's just interesting, but again, the tambourine here is being used for justice, and it's being used to rebel against, those sick things that are happening. So, Now, tambourine use among Jamaicans and Taínos. The tambourine or timbrel is an important musical instrument in revival churches in Jamaica. It's also featured in mento, kumina, and pocomania music. Um, Taínos, Jamaica's original people, called the tambourine the maguey and used it in celebrations for their ancestors. There are several references to the tambourine in Jamaican popular culture, and the tambourine comes in many different shapes. And so this is the tambourine in MOCHE culture, and this is a mummy tambourine sculpture from Peru. So this is the tambourine here in his hands. Looks a little different, but again, it comes in different shapes. It comes in, all types of shapes. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you more as we go along. Tambourine in Inca culture. The Inca were much addicted to martial music, songs insulting to the enemy. The noise of small tambourines, probably skin-covered, single-note shell and clay trumpets, and bone flutes. So this is from Inca culture at the time of the Spanish conquest by John Holland Rowe. But they basically used the tambourine during times of war. The Inca did. So I was like, let me add that in here. This is like amazing addition to what I am putting together. But it shows that just like the drum, the tambourine is also used to rebel or to war or, for justice and to bring awareness. So it has that energy to it as well. And this is a tambourine in Mayan culture. I meant to say, but it says sculpture here. But this is a Mayan ceramic figurine of an old man playing a tambourine in Jaina, Campeche, Mexico, 600 to 900 AD. And so this appears to be a different kind of tambourine as well. But it's a tambourine either way, So like I said, like the source said in a few slides ago, they come in different shapes. So not every tambourine is going to look like the one that we're used to seeing. That, I believe, is the European form of a tambourine, because I have seen that tambourine played among Italians as well. So I think that style of tambourine was brought over here, but the tambourine in general has been here already. And so this is a Mayan tambourine. I found this on Velmec's website. This may be the type of tambourine that was played originally by the Mayans, and it looks like similar to the one depicted in this image. It looks kind of similar. But see, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a tambourine too or what. But yeah. So my conclusion with this is, when researching the tambourine origins, I did not find one place. The origins of the tambourine is unknown. There are some sources stating that it could have come from the Middle East, it could have come from Africa, Greece, or India, but none of these sources are definite. Wisconsin Public Radio states that the tambourine has a different name in different cultures and is said to come from the Eastern world, but its origins are truly unknown. So the tambourine is basically like the drum in that people all across the planet use this instrument, though its forms may vary in different cultures. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say, is that we've been using tambourines. We have always used tambourines, and this is a part of our culture that has stuck, and it's still in use today. So that's something that I really wanted to get through to you guys in this presentation. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Here's some sources here of everything where I got my information from. Subscribe and hit that bell to be notified whenever I post a video. Check out my shop, Attic Indigo, for indigenous-inspired accessories and clothing for men, women, and children. And also check out my shoe line, Kaona, for great quality men and women's footwear. I just recently also published my book, Prayers, Musings, and Poetry, which focuses on healing, cultural restoration, and it contains a collection of my poetry and thoughts pertaining to what it's like to be an Indigenous woman, be a woman of color living in America, and what we and our families experience. So check that out on Amazon. And all links are in the description box below. Let me know your thoughts on every video in the comments, because whatever you like the most is what I'll be talking about more on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, guys, and have a great night. Bye-bye.